Hi everybody, it's Rizwan and welcome to a brand new series called Demos with Chowdhuries, where I get to talk to vendors across the globe where they can demo their products from their homes uh, as if we're now in lockdown and you can actually see the actual product alive. So I'm delighted to be joined by Alma Omanovic from Andrew Alliance. And Alma, how are you first of all?
I'm good. Thank you for having me, Rizwan, today. I'm also melting just like you are there in the UK, but better hot weather than snow. So,
That's very true. It's 34 degrees here in London, and I understand it's 34 degrees in Paris as well. So, well, we'll try and get this as quickly as possible and try and keep it as cool as possible as well. So, before we talk about, I'll go through your demo, which is about the Pipette Plus. Perhaps you'd like to tell the viewers a little bit about Andrew Alliance, a bit of background about the company.
sure. So, Andrew Alliance is a company that focuses on lab automation. So, our products help researchers automate some of those manual processes and workflows that they perform in the lab. Something that we are really proud of is that we actually keep things very, very simple. All of our products were designed with the researcher in mind who wants to do their job, wants to focus on the science and not necessarily spending time learning how to program or complicated lab equipment. So that's where we're focusing. And what I wanted to show today is one of our products, and this is Pipette Plus. So this is our semi-automated pipetting system, and I'll give you a quick demo in just a minute. But the last thing I'd like to mention is we are also very proud that we have been acquired by Waters at the beginning of this year. So it's been a really, really exciting time for us.
Fantastic. And before you do the demo, one final question then. In terms of applications, how broad a range of applications do your solutions help researchers with?
Yep, so we are focused on liquid handling and also automating some more complicated processes with our Andrew Plus pipetting robot and connected devices. With this particular device today, the Pipette Plus, as you can see, it's a set of pipettes. So the applications that would be suitable for this are really any application in the lab that researchers are doing manually with their manual pipettes, but this is going to make it a lot easier.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to switch the screen so people can see the demo in full screen. So let's just do that and talk us through the demo.
Okay, great. So what I have set up today, and it is a little bit of a different setup as I'm working from home, as I'm sure most people are these days. So excuse the different background. But today what I'm trying to do is mimic a typical setup in the lab. So here on the left side is Pipette Plus with 4 different pipettes. Right in the middle here, I have some simple labware just to show a couple of pipetting steps. So we have some tips, a 50 ml falcon, and a reservoir. And on the right-hand side here, I have my tablet that is showing me OneLab, which is our software that's used to run all of these devices. So what I'm going to do is basically follow the instructions on my screen from OneLab. And what OneLab is doing is using this intelligent stand to connect to the electronic pipettes and upload for me all of the volumes and different pipetting parameters so that I don't have to do that manually myself. So I'll show you how it works. First of all, the software is telling me to pick up the flashing pipette. Hopefully you can see that in the camera, but the green pipette here is flashing, so I will pick it up. And we are using electronic pipettes that are manufactured by Sartorius. So we partner with Sartorius to make these Bluetooth electronic pipettes. So now that I picked it up, the next step is to insert the tip. So I'm just going to follow the instructions, insert the tip. And the following step would be to aspirate 5 milliliters. So this is a relatively large volume pipette. We do have different volumes ranging between 0.2 microliters to 10 milliliters. So this one's 5 milliliters. We have some multi-channel pipettes here and so forth. So what I'm going to do is aspirate 5 milliliters. by clicking the button on top. You'll notice that I did not have to set that volume manually on the pipette. I just clicked the button on top. The next step is to dispense that liquid into the reservoir. So with the same button, just one click, I'm going to dispense that slowly into the reservoir. And the next step is to purge the tip. So again, with that exact same one button, I'm going to purge the tip. And finally, the instructions say to now eject the tip. So I'm just going to put that back into here. And that's it. So I think you can probably see where I'm going with this. It's telling me to put that pipette back. And it's now saying to pick up the next flashing pipette, which is this orange multi-channel pipette. And the protocol would go on like this and so on and so forth. So I'm sure you can see how easy it is to use this system with minimal training. I'm not necessarily working in the lab myself, but I can still use Pipette Plus.
Brilliant, and now I'm back. So thanks for the demo. That was very straightforward. So I suppose my first question is, how does this differ from just a normal electronic pipette?
So I would say that there are two main differences. One of them being, again, the uploading of all of the pipetting parameters via Bluetooth directly into the pipette automatically. So basically, if we look at a traditional electronic pipette, most of them have some buttons right above the screen. So if I did not have the stand, I would have to manually select the settings on the pipette using these buttons. The advantage of this is really obviously to save a lot of time, as well as not having to really even learn how to use this pipette. So basically, if you think of maybe a protocol that requires a lot of different volume changes, manually using this pipette, I would have to each time go and fiddle around with these buttons and change the volume, which takes quite a bit of time, and there's room for error there. So with this system, the SAM does everything for me, and it's instant. So that's the first difference. And the second, I would say, is the traceability offered with the system. So basically, there's a two-way communication between the software and the stand and the pipettes. So there is an audit trail and a report at the end of every experiment that's generated by the software that tells the user exactly which steps were executed, timestamps, all of those things. And it's very, very easy to trace back in case there's a mistake or something like that. So we have full traceability of the entire experiment.
Fantastic. Well, so there are a couple of things, though, I'd like to ask about that, though. So in terms of something like serial dilution or concentration normalization,
Right.
what benefits would using something like this be for a researcher?
Well, I'll start by saying that even when it comes to designing those protocols, our software has, I would call them like a wizard. So it's basically a form that the user will fill out when it comes to specifically those two, actually, a serial dilution or a concentration normalization.
Right.
So it's a form where the user answers questions. For example, what's your desired concentration? And all of those calculations are done automatically by the system. So that makes it really easy to design that. And the advantage of using the stand to execute that protocol is, as I mentioned, it's much quicker when it comes to volume changes. And also, I do want to mention that the two protocols you mentioned are kind of standard. I think a lot of people know how to execute those. But if you are introducing a new assay to your lab, or if there's somebody, an inexperienced technician maybe, that's just learning the job, this tool basically eliminates that learning curve, and they can execute that experiment in the same capacity when compared to maybe an experienced user.
Fantastic. Okay. And then some further questions I've got for you is, I mean, in terms of adding it to an existing setup, how straightforward is it to add it to the existing setup?
So it's exactly what the system was designed for. So these are just pipettes. You are using your existing setup in the lab. You can see even in front of me today, I have Falcon tubes, I have a reservoir, some Sartorius tips. So it's really very easy to simply use these pipettes, and you don't need to change up your existing setup in the lab.
Fantastic. And in terms of upgradability and adding to it, are there other modules that you can get and add to the system?
That's a really good question. Maybe not so obvious, but here, this is a modular system. So we have the stand and we have pipettes. These 4 pipettes are just one example of how the system could look. Maybe somebody's using only 3 pipettes. And we do have, I think, about 10 pipettes to choose from. So you can add more pipettes, switch them out. Really depends on your workflow, your volumes, and things like that. And I do want to mention as well that our fully automated solution, so our pipetting robot, Andrew Plus, uses these exact same pipettes. So this is a really nice introduction to automation for maybe some people in the lab that are interested in automation but don't know how to start. If you have this stand, potentially, eventually down the road, if the user upgrades to Andrew Plus, you already have those pipettes, uses the same software, so it's really easy to expand and build on the system.
All right, and well, that leads to my next question, is that if you are looking at something like the Pipette Plus, how much is that going to set you back if you're looking to sort of get this into your lab?
Yeah, so it's hard to say an exact price only because it is a modular system. So
sure.
It really depends on how many pipettes you need. I would say this is a low cost, kind of nice introduction to automation that can be acquired for under 10,000.
Right, and particularly in this current climate where, you know, we're currently in lockdown, some people are sort of coming out of lockdown, but we might go back into lockdown. What sort of support can users expect to get from Andrew Alliance in relation to sort of getting the system in place, and then if they've got any problems, you know, how can you help them and how do you help them?
Yeah, so the first thing I will say, this is a plug and play system, so you don't need any sort of installation, anything special to install it, but it's a great thing that you bring that up because our software is a cloud-based software. So
right.
Everything is browser-based. In fact, it's on our website. So I would encourage anybody who's interested to go on andrewalliance.com. You can sign up for a free account on OneLab. Fortunately, I didn't have time to show it today, but you can test it yourself just by creating a password and using your email. Very similar to, you know, a banking account or even a Facebook account. So that being said, because it's a cloud-based system, you are able to get in touch with our service and support colleagues directly through the software in real time, as long as you're connected to the internet. So they should be able to access the system remotely as well,
right.
in case you need any support.
Fantastic. Okay. Well, that's what covers any question for me. Is there anything else you'd like to add for the viewers who are watching right now?
I think from my end, if there is anybody who's interested to learn more about Pipette Plus or OneLab or Andrew Plus, we also have a lot of different connected devices that are all controlled through the same software.
Right.
If you'd like to learn more, please get in touch with me or just go on our website, send out a request, and I'm happy to discuss that in further detail.
Brilliant, Emma. Well, thank you very much for taking the time out to go through the demo, particularly to the first one. So you're my guinea pig trying this out. So I appreciate it.
Well.
No, you did fantastically well. So thank you very much. I hope everybody who's watched this has found this useful. If you would like to know more about the Pipette Plus, its applications and other solutions, then there is going to be a link above the video, which is there that you can click on to find out more. If you've got questions for Alma, then by all means put some comments below in the comment boxes, or you can direct message directly. And all I've got left to say now is, Alma, thank you very much for taking time to do this. I hope you cool down soon and find some fans to cool down and have a cold drink right now to recover from that presentation. I hope everybody else stays safe and well as well. And until next time, I'll see you soon. Anyway, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.